Good morning, this is Jim, 5714 Collector. I'm bringing you another video on Sunday morning about the 1972 Topps baseball card set. Today we're doing numbers 216 to number 230. We're going to have some playoff cards in here and World Series cards, so that'll make it a little bit more interesting. We can talk about the 1971 playoffs and World Series. Of course, the Pirates won that over the Orioles, 4-3, and we'll talk about that here in a couple minutes. I hope everybody's having a great Sunday morning, Memorial Day weekend. Have a safe holiday. And we're going to start off this morning with card number 216, and that is Phil Niekro. Brother of Phil, of course, is Joe with the Tigers. He pitched for, I think, roughly about 19 or 20 years, if I remember correctly. He won 221 games lifetime. He was a two-time 20-game winner with Houston. And if I remember right, that was in 80 and 81. But very cool-looking card. And we'll talk about him. Of course, his older brother Phil's in the Hall of Fame. As brothers, they hold the record for most wins over Jim and Gaylord Perry. And Jim Perry's in this series this morning also. Joe came up with the Cubs in 1967 and won 10 games for them. And he was also their opening day starter in 1968. He pitched 10 shutout innings in Game 3 of the I didn't write it down, but the 1980 National League Championship Series in Game 3. Pitched 10 innings, shutout baseball, and Houston won that game 1-0 in 11. So that's a pretty cool little tidbit there. He had a very successful playoff series. Of course, unfortunately, Houston did not because the Phillies beat him 3-2. But that was a good series. Card number 217, Roger Metzler, if I'm saying that correctly, with Houston. Also played a little bit with the Giants. I'll show you the back of his card. So something interesting about him. He was the starting shortstop for Houston for 8 seasons from 1971 to 1978. He's a one-time Gold Glove winner with Houston. He led the National League in triples twice. So that's kind of a cool little trivia for you guys. In 1980, he attempted to come back with the Giants. He had a chainsaw accident over that previous winter and cut 4 of his fingers off in that accident. And he came back, and I think, I've got it right here. He hit .074, and after that, he went ahead and retired. But very unfortunate end to his career. So, but again, I got that on Baseball Reference. And the playoff cards and the World Series cards, I got information from Wikipedia. So that was kind of a cool thing. I've been going back and forth between the two of them. So card number 218 is Eddie Casco, manager of the Red Sox. He managed the Red Sox 4 seasons, had a winning record in all 4. He won between like 85 and 88 games each season. Of course, that was right around the Orioles dynasty. He missed out on the playoffs in 72 by half game. They were 85 and 70. The Tigers, of course, played one more game that year because it was a strike-shortened beginning of the year. And the Tigers went 86 and 70. So unfortunately for the Red Sox and their fans, they did not make the playoffs. They finished a half game out. There's the back of his card. A little bit more about Eddie. He played shortstop for the National League in the 61 All-Star game. He went 1-for-1 with a single. He hit .318 for the Reds in the 1967 World Series against the New York Yankees. So that's kind of a cool little trivia there for everybody this morning. Now we come to card number 219, Rennie Stennett, who played 11 years in the majors. This is his rookie card. I'll show the back of that. And Mr. Stennett has a couple really interesting tidbits. One of the few players, and he may have been the first, but he tied the Major League record for 7 hits in a 9-inning game. So that's kind of interesting. And on September 1st, 1971, the Pirates started an all-black starting lineup, all 9 players. Rennie was the starting second baseman. So that's kind of cool. Talking about that, I was speaking to a neighbor's father yesterday, and he's doing the 71 Pirates and trying to get all the cards and all that and all the players. Rennie Stennett does not have a 71 Topps card, so it would have to be custom made. So there's a couple people that we know that can do that. Hopefully reach out to Jay Pylon and maybe surprise my neighbor's dad with that. So I thought, yeah, maybe we can get one made for him. He can use that in his collection and all that. So that's kind of cool. So, but yeah, that's kind of interesting with the 7 hits. And also in that game, he had 2 hits in 2 innings. So he had 2 hits in 1 inning, did it again a second time in the same game. So that also kind of a cool thing. That's just interesting information that I have found while I've been doing this great series and all that. And I've been really enjoying this. Obviously, doing 15 or 20 cards at a time, it's going to take quite a while to get through all these. Because, again, there's 787 cards in the set. There's a card that should have been in the set that was not. And we'll talk about that when we get to the end of the series. And there's also a player that I wish was in the set. So as we get back, when we get down toward the end of this, we'll be talking about a couple other players too. So card number 220 is Jim Perry. Jim's the older brother of Gaylord Perry, of course. And the Perry brothers, of course, won Cy Youngs. Both of them did. Gaylord won 2. Jim won 1 with the 70 Twins. So if I remember correctly, they're the only brothers in history to win Cy Young awards. So that's kind of cool. And Jim had a very good career himself. If I remember right, 215 lifetime wins. Pitched from 1959 to 1975. And that's a nice looking card. Love those Twins uniforms. So we'll talk about Jim a little bit. So he won 2 games on the same day. We'll talk about that here in a second. On July 19th, 1969, the Twins were playing the Pilots. The first 16 innings were done, let's say, on a Friday night. So Saturday comes around, and he pitched, if I remember right, 2 innings and won that game. Okay? And then he started the second game and won that one. So I don't know how they did the suspension, but he won 2 games on the same day. So when you get time, please go and check July 19th, 1969 for the Twins. That was a suspended game after, I think, 16 innings. But that's pretty cool and all that. So he pitched a complete game shutout in the regularly scheduled game. In 1970, Jim and Gaylord were the first brothers to win 20 games in a season. That's pretty cool. And in 1973, he was the losing pitcher losing pitcher twice. This is kind of cool. To Steve Busby and Nolan Ryan, who threw no-hitters against him when he was pitching for the Twins. So, pretty cool stuff. Who knew that? And how many times has that happened in a season where you're the losing pitcher and the other pitcher threw a no-hitter? And he had it happen to him twice. So, that's pretty cool. So, card number 221, the next 9 cards are all playoff cards and World Series cards. So, here we have the Pirates. Their series celebration. They, of course, won the 1971 National League Championship Series against the San Francisco Giants. They won that 3-1. And that was the first championship series that won 4 games. The rest of them, the Orioles swept the Twins in 69 and 70, and the A's in 71. And the 69 Mets and the 70 Reds did sweeps also. This is the first series that went 4 games. So there's the Pirates one, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Bob Robertson hit 4 home runs in the series. He also hit 3 home runs in game number 2. So if they had done a MVP in those days, Bob Robertson probably would have won the MVP for the series. The Giants would not make the playoffs again until 1987. So that's pretty interesting. So here we come to my Orioles. Unfortunately, they lost the World Series, right? But that's okay. So here's Brooks rounding the bases after a home run. And Brooks, if I remember right, had like 5 hits in this series too. He hit like 380 something, and it's on the back. I just haven't looked it up because it would be back here. So again, they swept the A's and all that. They outscored the A's 15-7 in the series, and McNally, Cuellar, and Palmer all got the wins. So they were the winning pitchers for the Orioles. All right, so here's World Series game number 1, Dave McNally, number 223. A little off-centered, but that's a beautiful card. I'm a big Dave McNally fan. Saw him pitch quite a bit on TV and saw him in person at Memorial Stadium. And the Orioles won game 1 of the World Series. Dave McNally was the game-winning pitcher. He pitched a complete game. The Orioles won 5-3. Frank Robinson, Don Buford, and Merv Rettenman all hit home runs for the Orioles in Game 1. So, kind of cool stuff there. So card number 224, game number 2. This was won by the Orioles 11-3. Nice picture there, Dave Johnson and Mark Belanger in the background. Kind of cool. I wish they would do these now and all that. I do not know the Pirates runner. We could probably look it up and figure it out. No, there's the back. And they got the box scores on the back, so that's kind of cool. I wish Topps would do these now. I think they're kind of cool. So we'll talk about World Series game number 2 a little bit. The Orioles got 14 hits in the game, all singles. Brooks had 3 RBIs, and Jim Palmer had 2 RBIs himself on bases loaded walks in that game. It's the first time and the only time that the opposing pitcher walked twice with the bases loaded and then had 2 RBIs. So did not happen before that. Has not happened since. So Jim Palmer's got a little distinction there from game number 2. So game number 3 was won by Pittsburgh. Steve Blass pitched a complete game. Pirates beat the Orioles 5-1. Very cool action photo here. Show the back. And Bob Robertson hit a 3-run home run. And Frank Robinson had a solo homer for the Orioles. So that's the Orioles' only score in that game. And the Orioles really didn't hit well after that. I forget how many runs they scored in the last 5 games of the series, but they did not hit that well. So that's game number 3 won by the Pittsburgh Pirates. When the Pirates tied it up in game 4, they evened the series with a 4-3 win. Here's the great one, Roberto Clemente, leading off of second base. This was the first night game in World Series history. So this was the game. It's famous for Bruce Kison coming in on relief for the Pirates and pitching 6 1/3 of shutout innings with 1 base hit. He did set a World Series record when he hit 3 Orioles. Cool little tidbit. And I remember watching this game on TV at my parents' house, of course. We watched it on a little black and white portable TV, about a 19-inch screen that we got for Christmas one year. So that was kind of cool. Little trivia for everybody. Milt May had the game-winning RBI in that series, in that game. So there you go. Again, like I mentioned, first night game in baseball history. So that's pretty cool. Pirates won game 4, 4-3. So in game number 5, the Pirates went ahead 3-2 behind Nelson Briles, if I remember right. Yep. Nelson Briles threw a 2-hit shutout. And what's funny, Nelson Briles pitched for the Orioles later on after this. He had a couple seasons with the Orioles, but he pitched a great World Series game against at that time, the defending champions, right? So that's pretty cool. Nelson Briles. So they took that 3-2 lead with a 4-0 win behind Nelson. So very, very good. So we come to game number 6. Now, game number 6 was another nail-biter. The Orioles tied this series up at 3 games apiece with a 3-2 win in 10 innings. I do remember the ending, and you'll see it right here. There's Frank Robinson sliding in with the game-winning run. Brooks Robinson hit a shallow ball to center field, and Frank came home on a sacrifice fly on a close play at the plate for the Orioles to win that game. Now, that's kind of cool. I did look that up, but I do remember. It's like, oh, that jogged my memory. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that. And again, you can probably see it on YouTube if you want to. So that's kind of neat and all that. So a little bit more trivia. Just let's share the card one more time while we talk about this. This was the 400th World Series game in history, this game here. So Game 6 of 71 World Series was the 400th World Series game ever. So there you go. You can ask your kids or grandkids that question someday. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So, of course, it comes down to Game 7, and the great Steve Blass is pitching for the Pirates. He was going up against Mike Cuellar of the Orioles. There's Steve there, and they beat the Orioles 2-1. And Roberto Clemente hit .414 in the series. He had a base hit in every single game for the second time in his career. He had 7 consecutive hits in the 1960 World Series, and he did it again in 71. So he has, when he unfortunately passed away, he had hit consecutively in 14 consecutive World Series games. So that's pretty cool. And he won the MVP award. So, again, he hit .414, the great one. So, and, yeah, I just want to make sure I said that right. The Steve Blass outpitched Mike Cuellar for the win. Clemente hit a solo homer in the game. And Jose Pagan drove in the winning run in the 8th inning. So that's pretty cool. So, and the last card for today is the series celebration card. As you can see right here, that's kind of cool. Show you the back in a minute. So this game, of course, was playing in Baltimore. And we'll talk about that. So the Pirates won the series 4-3. Clemente MVP. Told you about the hits in the 7 games. And of course, he did that in 1960. So with that all being said, my best friend on my childhood, however you want to word that, was a big Pirates fan. Okay. And we watched that World Series game at his house up in Ferndale, Maryland. His name was Brian. And his father, of course, they were from Johnstown, his parents were. So after the World Series ended, we asked his father and said, any chance that you would take us over to Friendship Airport, which is now BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport. But in those days, in 1971, it was known as Friendship Airport. So we asked his dad and said, hey, can you take Brian and I over to the airport? Be kind of cool. You can see the Pirates off and all that. And we're flying back up on a charter up to Pittsburgh. So we actually went over there. His father took us over. And we saw the players. They were on the bus, getting ready to get off and all that. And, you know, I wasn't clapping as much as my buddy was, but it was still kind of a thrill to see a Major League Baseball team up close. So Roberto Clemente got out of the bus. And, I mean, everybody knew who he was. And, you know, everybody's cheering and hollering. And I actually went up to him and I patted him on the shoulder and said, Roberto, very great game. You know, and I vividly remember doing that. And, of course, we came back home, and I was telling my parents about it. And I said, hey, you know, I actually touched Roberto Clemente. I touched him on the shoulder and congratulated him on a great World Series. And I still get cold chills when I think about it. It's one of the few times I can say, other than autograph sessions, that I was ever that close to a Major League ball player. So it was a big thrill. I was a 12-year-old kid. My buddy was a year younger. He was 11. And just an awesome time. I remember I came home and I told my parents, I said, I'm never washing my hands again, ever. So that was my story about the 71 World Series. I hope everybody enjoyed this one today. I had a great time doing these cards. It was kind of neat to go through. And, I'm hitting Joe Niekro today, and I'm hitting Jim Perry, and I'm hitting of course, the 71 playoffs and the World Series, and just a vivid memory of the great Roberto Clemente. So I hope everybody enjoyed this one. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and give me a comment. Again, I hope everybody has a safe Sunday, a safe Memorial Day. And hey, get out there and cook out on the grill some burgers and some dogs or some steaks. And just enjoy the day. And you guys take care. And we'll talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.